Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. I thought we'd start off by taking a look at sunrise this morning. It is the June solstice, the summer solstice, and so it's kind of neat to see this. Here's the day-night line, so you can see it running right in through here. And what's neat about this is if you were to draw a line straight from the North Pole to the South Pole, the angle between these two things matches the tilt of the Earth, which is 23.5 degrees. Also, if we look at where the equator is running right in through here, you draw a line that is perpendicular to the first one I drew, it'll point exactly at the sun and also at a latitude of 23.5 degrees. Now, I understand that you probably didn't tune into my video this morning to get a lesson in Earth-Sun geometry, so let's get right down to this. Tell you one good thing about this image. Let me just get those drawings off of there. It's about what you don't see out in the open Atlantic Ocean. And that is anything brewing in this area that could be a potential tropical system that would impact all of our weather here across the majority of the southern region. So that's at least one good thing about this image as we begin summer today. All right, let's get now into the drought monitor. This was a week ago. We were still watching, even though we had quite a bit of heavy rain over the last 10 days, the drought monitors are created on Tuesday and released on Thursday. So I want you to kind of watch this area right over here. This was a week ago, and this is the newest. So if I kind of toggle back and forth, you can see we've had a pretty sizable reduction in drought due to some very, very heavy rainfall that we've had across parts of the southeast. There are still pockets that are in drought, and some pockets did expand specifically. I'm talking about this little section right down here because much of that heavy rain was just to your north, but we're going to keep a close eye on this as we continue to progress through summer. Now, certainly today, the main story is going to be, I think, the heat that is going on right now in the south central plains moving over to the lower Mississippi River Valley, while the section of the Midwest gets socked with a nasty line of severe thunderstorms. But let's talk about this heat and what is going on down here, because there's a wide section of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, almost all of Louisiana, parts of Mississippi, Alabama that are underneath this excessive heat watch. The jet stream kind of telegraphs what's going on. We have a deeper trough that's sitting right up here, kind of just in Montana, border with Canada. And that deeper level trough underneath it has a ridge. And so we're going to have plenty of wide open flow out of the Gulf of Mexico, and there's very weak flow aloft down here that's kind of pushing through this area. So really the main show is far in the northern part of the United States, and plenty of warmth is going to get there, get through the midsection of the country, and it's going to start in Texas. Now, if you take a look at what the surface winds are doing, this is what's going to make this a tough day. As we animate this, look at how open the Gulf of Mexico is right in through this area. In fact, that moisture goes all the way up here, and that moisture transport is going to make things quite unbearable. Now watch this. This is an animation, and what I'm showing you here is surface dew point temperatures. You can see winds in the background. Now when you look at my color bar, we start to get into these colors over here, and we're talking about things that are above 70-degree dew points. And as we click play on this, you can just see that moisture pouring to the north. Now, do you notice as it moves forward, this is pretty amazing. Do you notice as it moves forward, these little pockets, these little things get cut out like this right here, where you have this drier air that comes in. This is actually the model knowing thunderstorms are blowing up in that area. And we're going to talk about these thunderstorms because while it looks as though much of the southern region gets out of the day on Friday without too much in the way of strong to severe thunderstorms, we're going to watch what's going to be happening in the day on late Friday night into Saturday across much of Oklahoma, northern Texas, Arkansas. We got a pretty big system we're going to be paying attention to there. We'll see it in just a few seconds. I want to take you through temperatures first. This is just looking over your next 5 or 6 days here. What we've got is this is in the day on Friday. We're going to be seeing temperatures in parts of Texas climbing deep into the 90s and into the lower triple digits there. In fact, the whole of the southern region, basically from the New Mexico border all the way back over here to the Carolinas, a lot of temperatures way into the 90s. Let's click play. It goes pretty fast, so let's take it back there and tell you the day by day. So this is on Friday. Here we go into Saturday. Still a lot of 90s, mid to upper 90s spreading across the southern region. Getting you into your day on Sunday here. Things are a little bit cooler in Texas. I say a little bit cooler because you're now in the mid-90s, but you can see over here still middle to upper 90s across parts of Mississippi all the way to South Carolina. As we keep progressing forward, this is what things look like on Monday. A little bit of a reprieve on Monday. We'll talk about this system that's coming into this area on Monday, making things quite wet in through here and also knocking those temperatures back. But you can see by the time we get into Tuesday, and into Wednesday, we're going to be spreading quite a bit of heat pretty far to the north. And big reason for that is this ridge that's building in the midsection of the country. So we got several warm days coming up, a little bit of reprieve in the middle there, but several warm days coming up as I get you all the way out to next Thursday here with our forecast on temperatures. But let's get back to that severe weather. Right now we're watching a pretty powerful complex of thunderstorms moving through the central United States. And as that moisture comes feeding up like this, it looks like much of the action is going to be staying up here in this area. And so this is going to stay, for the most part, out of the southern region. But we're going to have to watch. Sometimes these squall lines like to just build on down just like this, and they go all the way to the Gulf Coast. So that's why the Storm Prediction Center's got this large area in through here that has the potential in the day on Friday at seeing some nasty weather. We'll take a closer look in a few moments. In the day on Saturday, we're going to watch. There's actually, remember that upper level low I showed you spinning here? Well, its main frontal boundary will actually be stretched here. We're going to watch for storms, potentially very nasty ones, to move through parts of northern Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas eventually. I'll show you that in a few seconds. And then because this next pattern just isn't really shaken anytime soon, we still have great upper level support across this region for stronger storms once we get into the day on Sunday as well. So 3 days in a row here where we've got sections of the southern region watching out for the severe weather. Well, here's that nasty complex of storms. I'm going to show you the high-resolution NAM model forecasting you for the next 60 hours. So you ready? If you're down here along the Gulf Coast in this area, mainly just widely scattered showers and storms are going to pop probably on the sea breeze. They're going to pop on just the heating of the day. But we want to see if what's left of this eventually pushes into this area. So let's kind of run the high-resolution NAM and see where things go. So this now gets us out to the middle of the day on Friday, You can see there, like I said, along the Gulf Coast, things are popping. Now, the outflow from those storms kind of seems to disappear as it gets into Tennessee and Kentucky. But then we're going to watch. See it over there? This is now Saturday, kind of bringing some stronger storms in through this area. Now, this model is not going to be able to perfectly resolve, I'm taking you back here, sorry, what eventually happens to the outflow of these storms. So I think we're just going to have to keep an eye on this whole region throughout the overnight hours, afternoon overnight hours on Friday. Meanwhile, come back over to Texas. We see that late in the day on Friday, storms could blow up here on the heat. We're going to have to watch to see how they organize. So this would be a nowcasting event for that particular time period. This, again, Friday evening in Texas. Now, what I really want you to focus on is look at what happens as I get into early Saturday morning. The models have been pretty keen on developing this squall line feature that's coming through parts of Missouri. And as it does so, it puts down an outflow boundary. See it right there, midday Saturday. And then that outflow hits something over here. There must be some other boundary like that front I told you about. And then watch this for Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas, southern Kansas, Missouri. Ready? That region. Saturday, right now, at noon. Look at what happens in the afternoon. The model's right now producing this massive derecho event. That's a long, damaging squall line that goes racing through this area. And that's why on Saturday, the Storm Prediction Center was watching this. Meanwhile, look at what's going on over here in parts of the Mid-Atlantic, but really getting over here into like the Piedmont, getting over here into parts of the Tennessee Valley as well. Right in through this area, we got more storms. So if I said there's a region that isn't going to be seeing, a lot of severe weather and a lot of storms, it's going to be right along the Gulf Coast. But north of that, this whole region in here, just over the next 60 hours, this takes us out to Sunday midday. You got to be watching the radar all weekend because with that much moisture in the atmosphere, all these little subtle triggers can tip off a massive complex of thunderstorms, and it's not something we can forecast in advance. It's hard to do. Okay, what about taking you out a little bit beyond that? We're going to run the European model. I'm just going to start on Sunday afternoon since we've seen through Sunday afternoon. You can see right in through here where the heavy rain, I'll show you in a few minutes, is going to be coming to begin next week. So right in here, watch Sunday afternoon, this little corridor right there. So you get the storms potentially on Saturday, but then Sunday again, watch. Right in through here, a complex of thunderstorms Sunday into Monday is one thing I'm going to be watching very carefully. There will be no problem feeding any of these storms with Gulf moisture. And you'll see that throughout the week, through beginning of next week, this low pressure system goes through the Great Lakes and it'll trail a front in through this area, which is why you're going to see for most days over the next 7 to 10 days, a chance for storms every day. But those in the south, you guys are used to this. You know this. This is just the drill. The heat of the day plus any subtle boundary, subtle trigger is going to make some thunderstorms. As we get out into next Tuesday night into Wednesday, higher pressure looks to occupy much of the southeast, maybe a bit of a dry drier middle part of next week for the southeast, but storms will continue to fire on the back side of this as we get into the middle and end of next week. So I'm just saying we've just got a stormy next 10 days or so. You don't see anything major and organized, and certainly we don't see anything tropical coming out, but there's no problem with the Gulf of Mexico staying open. So I imagine that when we look at our maps next week to see who got the rain and who didn't, you're going to see some heavy rainfall right in here, parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, but around the rest of the southeast, it's going to be just a lot of hit or miss showers and thunderstorms. In fact, let's just put it together here looking at the next week or so from the European model. Remember, we have the potential derecho event that hits here, and then early next week, a lot of thunderstorms in this same area. So that's why you see in that part of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, you've got that region picking up in general 1 to possibly 3 inches. Across much of the rest of the southern region, just a lot of hit or miss showers and storms. And then again, up here in the Tennessee Valley, we're going to be watching that complex of storms moving through, potentially giving us some issues there as well. So that's kind of a look at precipitation. What about the pattern? Let's just play this out for you and kind of show you some of the major details. Getting into the 26th, 27th, 28th, look at that ridge that builds in the middle part of the country. And then by the time I get you out into the first full week of July, we kind of get ourselves into this pattern I talked about all week, where the jet stream is wanting to do this. And maybe I over-exaggerated that a bit. It kind of comes down in, if I can draw this properly, comes down like this and then lifts into a ridge right in through here. So our main ridge axis seems to be sitting basically in western Texas and over the Four Corner States running up into Montana. But notice that on the other side of this trough develops here. And the trough that I have shown here may help keep temperatures in the eastern half of the country much more seasonable, maybe even cooler than average, while we could expect to see heat building into this corridor. Meanwhile, this trough over the western United States is an important one to notice. And I just want to take you back real quick to show you some of these subtle details. All right, this is where we get over the weekend. So Saturday into Saturday night. The main trough axis is here. Plenty of moisture advection out ahead of this. So it's right out ahead of it that at the end of the weekend, we're going to be watching this area. Ready? So remember I told you that's where that heavier rain comes through. This is Sunday afternoon into Monday morning. So when that trough sweeps through, it's this area that we're going to be watching carefully. Then after that, look, ridge starts to come in. There it is. This is by next Wednesday, Thursday, and it builds in for the end of June. So plenty of warmth here for the end of June for a big section of the country as this trough digs out west. So we talked about that already. To finish this up, I want to show you just a couple more maps here. Week 2 from the European model, week 2 from the GFS. These are both their ensembles. A little bit of a discrepancy going on down in the southern region. The European model carries a slight wet bias here on open Gulf moisture. The GFS, it's got a mixed signal for you here. You can kind of see some of these yellowy colors indicating, dry in through these regions, but you can see the moisture coming out of the Bay of Campeche here. So we're just going to continue to watch that corridor for the potential for a lot more showers and storms into next week, but it'll be a lot of hit or miss like we've been discussing here, okay? Finally, nothing going on in the tropics. Talked about this at the very beginning, which is a good thing. Next 5 days looking nice and clear. Upper level suppression of tropical activity in this area. And just because I talked a lot about this in all our videos this week, just to make sure you watch this over the weekend because it's a bigger story for our global grain markets here. When we look at what's going on in Europe, major heat waves setting up this week that's going to start off in the east, and then migrate to the west, bringing in some locations their high temperatures 15 plus Celsius above average. So very, very hot there. And we still see that getting you through next Thursday, a big section. So let me just draw this for you. Here is the Black Sea. So a large section of Ukraine and the Russian wheat belt, still not anticipating any precipitation. So that's a major thing to be paying attention to. But as you see in my title up here, late next week, we are seeing some rain move through there, but it's uncertain because it's so far out in the forecast. And finally, when all this heat comes in to this part of Germany, coming into parts of France, we see that they're not expected to see much in the way of precipitation over that time period either. So just something we got to be on the lookout for. Looks like the heavy rain is going to be to the south of it. And to the east of it and through this area. So I want to keep you up to date on that over the weekend because it's kind of an important story here. Okay, with that, I'm going to go and wrap up this forecast video. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to all of our forecast videos coming out next week. Head to my.nutrienagsolutions.com to check those out. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.